What is up, Dolphin fans? Y'all been waiting for this. Y'all, here we are, the four amigos.
I ain't your amigo, buddy. Sorry.
I ain't your buddy, pal. We're here to talk post-draft Miami Dolphins, and there's a lot to talk about. There's some trades made going up, trades made going down. A lot of stuff to talk about, and let's just jump into it. We'll go around, talk about just real quick what we thought of the draft. I'll start. Liked it. Some picks I didn't like. I think they could have took somebody else, like the corner and the safety we took. I think there was better guys available. But I really liked who we took, especially Gordon and Jordan Phillips. And didn't we mock him going to the Dolphins and moving up for Jonah? Which
no, this guy mocked him.
Who?
A lot. You.
Mocked who?
Jordan Phillips, when you were doing your.
Oh yeah, when I do my mocks, yeah, because he was a late round guy, and I'm like, sure. Okay, there's solid value there.
Yeah.
He was picked in. I mean, okay, well, who's going next and what they liked or what they didn't like?
You can go next, Omar.
I like their 2 first-round picks. Kenneth Grant was a guy who was definitely going to be in the top 20, no matter what anybody thought.
Yes. Jonah.
Still struggling to figure out how to say his last name, but I finally got the spelling right. Okay. Savanaya. He was one of the top 10 elite offensive linemen in this draft, the guys who could be a day one starter. I absolutely said before the draft, Steve Ross, if these guys do not find somebody who could be a day one starter, fire them all. Do not even wait. Do not pass go. So they added him. Do I like what they gave up for him? No. Do I like the fact that they traded out of their third-day pick and picked up an extra third? No, but I saw the value. They dominated the trade. 2024, the next GM is going to love that third-round pick. And the one thing I can say about what they did is they moved with conviction, which I respect. You came into the draft and you basically said we didn't really like any of these cornerbacks. We're comfortable going with late round cornerbacks and figuring it out. We're comfortable going with veteran players and figuring it out. We're not really into investing some of these earlier cornerbacks. And you know what? As long as you sign some veteran free agents and supplement that unit, what can I say? It is what it is. I like the traits that they have in some of the younger players. The running back, I'm a big fan of now that I've actually looked at his film. Cornerback, not really so much a big fan of, but then, it's really you're trying to add a practice squad player that nobody else is going to claim. So I get it. You understand what I'm saying? So overall, I thought it was a pretty solid draft. I like the fact that Chris Greer stayed Chris Greer.
Alan, what's your thought?
Mean?
That means he stays to his convictions and doesn't get desperate.
Couldn't you argue he got desperate making a trade up for Sanavea in the second round? Here's my issue. There's some parts of it I like. I like Kenneth Grant as my shoulder disappears. Have pity on me. Got a brand new light and the face is very clear. The shoulders are disappearing. So anyway. Love the pick of Kenneth Grant, and I made this point on the All Dolphins podcast that even if in a worst case scenario he becomes just a stud run stuffer, Casey Hampton was like the 17th pick in the draft once upon a time, and had a great career. And asked the Pittsburgh Steelers if they regret spending that pick on him. Even Dolphins picked Tim Bowens 20th overall, who was pretty much just a run stuffer, had a 10-year career, and was a complete stud. So I like to pick up Kenneth Grant. To me, this draft was about volume more than anything else. They needed to replenish their core of young, cheap talent. And going into the draft with 4 picks between the second, third, and fourth rounds and turning that into 1 pick to get your guard. I mean, let me put it this way. That guy better be a dude, and I mean from the start. Especially, I'm going to keep my eye on Tate Ratledge, who's a guard from Georgia, who's also highly thought of, who went 57 in the second round to the Detroit Lions, which means the Dolphins could have had him staying put at 48 and keeping those picks. If that guy becomes close to Jonah as an NFL player, then that to me, that's a whiff for the Dolphins right there.
TD.
I thought this was the best draft Chris Grier ever had. I feel like I'm in line with Omar in regards to Chris Grier was Chris Grier. Kind of the flip of that, though, because he doesn't usually stick to his convictions. So he finally got to being who he needed to be. Kenneth Grant is an obvious for me. Don't need to break much down there. Jonah, I disagree with a lot of people. When you are targeting someone and you believe that he is your guy, you go get him by all means necessary. Because I'm pretty confident in the last 3 years when we've been kicking tables about Grier not doing this or doing that, he probably had some people in mind waiting and then lost out on him. And you saw what happened with New England. I don't know if y'all saw what came out with them. They were in their war room arguing about that 38th pick right before Jonah, and they were arguing about Jonah, about taking him. When I saw that came out, that was all the validation I needed to hear. I don't care how many picks it took to move up.
Who they end up taking?
I'm not sure.
Henderson, running back from Ohio State, as chronicled on Miami Dolphins on SI.com.
So to find that out, and I don't think Mike McDaniel nor Chris Grier is lying when they say they got text messages and calls and said that was our guy. So this notion of reaching, 3 other teams have been reported we're going to take them right there in the next succession of picks. So that was a big win for Chris Grier because I know he missed out on some in the past. And this time he didn't want to miss out on the guys that he loved and who he wanted. And so that took away a 3rd round pick, but that's okay because that 3rd round pick, we don't know, that's where you start to get into that territory of we don't, I don't know if this guy's going to be a day one starter or not. So go with what you know, or at least believe you know. Now that 4th round.
God, this is the smartest thing TD has ever said in my presence.
Oh, it gets better, Omar. Don't worry. I'm almost there. You know what's happening. You know what's
all right. I'm all in.
Omar, because he's agreeing with you, and I'm the other way. I'm like going, what the hell is he talking about?
TD.
The 4th round pick, I love it. Y'all talked about, he didn't understand.
See, man, how does TD get smart and then get frozen? See, look, God don't like him.
I think there's a message because there's a karmic message somewhere in there. My point is, it's all fine to say in dandy that he nailed it, he got the guy he wanted and all that. And
good job.
That guy better be a baller from the start.
You froze, TD.
You froze. What were you saying, TD?
Oh, my bad. Where did I leave off?
4th round pick.
The 4th round pick, maybe it was. I don't like anybody really as much on the board anymore. Let me go ahead and stockpile an asset for next year. And I disagree with Omar when you say for the next GM. I'm willing to sit here and tell you that Chris Grier showed such great poise in this draft where he didn't have panic picks. Because if he were panicking, we would have picked in the 3rd and 4th, trying to get as many as we can. But I think he was doing what was best for the long term of the team, which is a good look for him. And that could have extended his life span in Miami. I'm not opposed to picking up that 3rd round pick instead of the 4th. That's a profit, okay? 5th round and all of that, the running back. This was the answer we needed. We are one of the worst teams in the NFL running the ball on 3rd and 4th down. In short, 3rd and short, 4th and short. This is the guy that can help us bulldoze forward. Do you know how much of a difference even our season could be just picking up those 3rd and 4th and shorts? Do you know how bad it was going for it at midfield and things like that and didn't get it? This was a nice move. The other guys that we picked up, developmental pieces, except that one boy, Quinn Ewers. Man, I don't look like that, Doug.
Anyway, so what?
Nice move.
I got 10 more seconds, and Doug. Oh boy, listen. All I was hearing from a lot of people was, "Oh my gosh, Arch Manning, he's gonna be the truth." Well, we just got the quarterback that Arch Manning couldn't beat out. We just got that
Come on
dude.
now. One's 23 years old. The other one's like 17. Come on.
Hey, listen, Quinn Ewers is a developmental piece. I think he's perfect for McDaniel's system. He's not better than Tua. This is my honesty. But if he can develop him properly, the right way, you never know what you can get in this league, because I do know this. He has that dog in him. He got that feistiness. He got that confidence. Yes, he does. Quinn Ewers has it. Now, if it matches on the field with his play, that's going to be up to him to decide in this league. But I like the intangibles with Quinn Ewers. But again, raw talent, got a lot of things that he need to clean up, especially his intermediate passes over the middle, sails them a little bit too high sometimes. And that's to a strength over the middle in the accuracy. So, yeah, man.
These are Doug, jump in. I mean, this is turning into a monologue. Sorry, TD. Come on, Doug, jump in. I mean, seriously. Time here. Come on, Omar.
Do my breakdown, man. We got an hour.
Listen, Gary says you were
conversation here going, not just.
And I know. Come on, I saw you trolling the people, TD. I saw you trolling the people.
What you talking about?
You would never do that.
I could have sworn I heard you say something a lot along the lines that he's gonna push to it, challenge to it, something. You
got like this, you got this.
No, he's not gonna push Tua. Nobody's gonna push Tua. I don't think he can survive the push.
Anyway, listen.
It's the nonsense that is going on with some people in the fan base that legitly think Ewers is better than Tua.
You never know, Doug.
You never know, but
see, he acted like it's my imagination. I knew some TD. I knew some TD trolling was happening.
Imagination.
Yeah. But I honestly don't mind the trade up, and we'll talk about that a little bit more now. Because if you look at the value of the trade, it was actually the Dolphins lost like 2 points if you go by that Jimmy Johnson, chart. It was actually a very even
which
trade.
Is 30 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
It still applies, sir.
Yeah.
No, actually, there are some NFL people who will tell you that it doesn't apply anymore. Actually,
and if you look at where the Dolphins were going to pick in that third round at 98, so many good players would have been gone. Like Xavier Watts went 96. You have Jonas Sanker went 93, Caleb Ransaw 88. Like they
still had a chance to get a good cornerback. The problem is they probably didn't have a conviction on the cornerback, or wasn't in love with a cornerback, or a cornerback didn't fit into Miami, or the cornerback had some luggage, or the cornerback had some injury issues. And I'm all for it. I support it because Chris Greer came out day one and was basically like, y'all calm down on quarterbacks. We're like late round guys. Mike McDaniels played late round guys in 49ers. Chiefs won with late round guys. We're going to develop our guys, and we're going to address it in free agency. That was a flat out announcement that, hey, we're not taking a cornerback early. And lo and behold, they didn't take a cornerback.
Now, Omar, you got asked this on Twitter, and I don't think so. But let me ask you, is there any way that bridge can be mended between them and Ramsey?
No. I don't think so from this standpoint. And people don't like when I say this, but the Dolphins walk on eggshells around Ramsey his entire tenure. And something happened to the point where they basically wanted to stop walking on eggshells, and that wasn't okay. And they've just realized that, hey, this is not a good fit for our organization, and we're both better off just parting ways.
He be spazzing or something?
What do you mean?
Like if somebody walking on eggshells, like you don't want to.
They're scared of
have them explode.
They're scared of
Alpha. He's an Uber Alpha.
And Mike, when have you ever seen Mike deny answering a question? When? Ever?
That's true. Yeah. He'll give you long-winded answers, but he answers.
Yeah, he'll dance around it. He was just like I'm not touching it. It's Jalen Ramsey. There are consequences to talk about Jalen Ramsey. I don't want those consequences. Done. Conversation over.
Wow.
And I was like, damn.
That's interesting.
So I don't, Chris Greer mentioned something when he told us about the trade. He was basically like, if it comes to the point where he's still here, then we'll figure it out. But I think Ramsey is pretty convicted on being somewhere else. Now the question is, he's got to find a dance partner. And the Dolphins have to get whatever they're going to get for him, which, look, I don't even think they're asking for much.
And they might have to eat some salary.
No, I'm not eating no salary. If I'm Steve Ross,
they might have to.
I am not eating no salary.
Okay, and I'm telling you, they might have a choice.
I'm not paying you $1 to go away. Unless you're giving me a second-round pick, you're not getting $1 from me.
They already paid him a $4 million roster bonus, which
exactly. They've already paid some of his salary. They've already paid some of his salary. I'm not. If I'm Steve Ross, I am not touching that contract. Jalen, you can come back here and be a prisoner of Miami. Like I'm not. I'm not doing no Tannehill. I'm giving you money to take.
Yeah, just to get a fourth.
Yeah. No. Unless you give me like a second, I give you some money for a second.
You're not getting a second for it.
No. Well, I think the highest they'll get is a fourth, and they probably have to give like a seventh to get a fourth with Ramsey. Do you think there's possible to do a straight up with another player?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's possibly what's on the table. We'll take your trash, you take our trash. Or you take our bloated salary, we'll take your bloated salary.
Here's one problem I have when we're talking about this draft and trading down and all that and squandering the 4th round pick for a third next year, which by the way is equivalent value, because when you move down another year, Omar, you can give me this all you want, but you know damn well I'm telling the truth.
They dominated the trade, though, Alan.
Except they didn't, because a 4th round pick this year is the equivalent of a 3rd round pick.
I gave you when I did the numbers, I did the numbers with a 4th round pick just for you.
And I did the numbers with
a 4th round pick just for you, and they still dominated the trade and got back the equivalent in trade value of a 4th round pick.
But they didn't, because again, you drop around for the following week, or you move up around. Okay, Omar, let's fine. Whatever you want to say, I'm not going to go back and forth. The thing is, every draft analyst agreed that the thing that stood out about this draft wasn't a ton of high end like blue chippers, but there was a lot of depth from 15 to like 100 or whatever. And this is where the Dolphins could have made some hay with volume, and which is why I don't like the trade unless Jonah S becomes a complete stud and very quickly.
You don't feel like the whole roster is volume as it is? We got all these guys that we drafted that aren't working out yet.
Correct. They're not working out. And what indication have you gotten that they will work? Are you counting on Ethan Bonner, Cam Smith?
But they have to slot into your volume for now. They have to, because you can't just get rid of the rookie contract.
Let me. I hear what y'all saying, and I hear what Poupart is saying, but also, and I agree with you. That would be my number one knock. Where the meat and potatoes was of the draft, you moved out of there. Now, obviously, you moved out of there because other people saw the value in being in there. Okay, but let's just think about it this way: you give everybody an individual grade. And if your individual grade correlates with you're a 5th round talent, but because the board has gone the way it's gone, I'm selecting you now in the 3rd or the 4th round, but your true value is a 5th round talent, wouldn't there be a wise approach to say, we're going to get more 5th round picks and take guys where we think their real true value is in this draft and get a future pick for later? So even if it's not a great draft, it's still a great value asset that can help us get something else or do something else. Because another team's going to want a 3rd round pick. We could trade a 3rd round pick for the next Jalen Ramsey or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? If we because the 3rd day trade, that was like boom. I got the 2nd day trade. You wanted one of the top 10 offensive linemen. You went and got one of the top 10 offensive linemen. Kudos for TD, because he brilliantly put it. Have a conviction, go get your guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the 3rd day trade, I was like, huh? You need to fill out your roster, and you're sitting up here trading away your picks? And I was like, if they hadn't dominated that trade to the level that they dominated it, I would be like, this makes no sense. But they did.
Okay.
They did. It's like 44.6 point victory in a trade.
It's not.
I did the numbers with making the pick they got a 4th round. I made it the first 4th round pick because it was so equivalent of a 3rd, equivalent of the low 3rd. So I did it with a heavy-weighted scale just for people like you who will say, well, the
third
third
round
is really
pick
a
next
fourth.
year,
Well, I
the
made
fourth
it a
round
fourth.
pick this year in terms of numerical value. It's the same thing. It's like the trade last year when they traded for Jalen Wright, a fourth last year for a third this year. You're dropping around, but you're gaining a year of experience, and that would have been a great trade if Jalen Wright pans out. And based on what we saw last year, particularly at the end of the year, that's still in question.
So you're factoring in experience.
That's why you drop around for waiting a year. That's why your third next year is the equivalent of fourth this year. And the Dolphins have done that before with very little success. They traded a future 3 or a future 2 to get a third to get Marlon Greenwood. You remember Marlon Greenwood, Omar? That they did the same thing for that. They did the same thing for Wade Smith, which didn't necessarily pan out that great. But those are the trades the Dolphins have made. But to me, it's like the Dolphins basically squandered. The trade was this: the first trade, a third and a fourth to move up 11 spots in the second and a fifth. Well, I'm sorry, give me the 3 and the 4. Personally,
well, I guess Alan, the only argument I would make to that is look at Chris Greer's draft picks. Have they really been developing from year 1 to 2? When you look at the guys like Cam Smith, Channing Tindall.
Yeah, but you can't use that argument and then talk about what a great pick Jonah was. It's one or the other.
That's a conviction pick, a second round talent. That's the guy that
second round talent. He hasn't panned out,
but you're not convicted about those other guys. That's why you traded out.
I don't think we can blame a GM for draft picks not panning out when it's the coaches that make them pan out. It's coaching. Anyway,
Cam Smith's all coaching from what we know and what we've heard about his issues. That's not coaching.
2 coaches and he hasn't played well. So you're right.
Because of off the field, of like professional.
Yeah, but I believe that if Big Fangio would have played him, maybe he would have gotten better. Maybe he would have saw them. Yeah, you might be right.
Sanchez would have $5 said, "Whoa, I just joined and Omar and Alan are arguing. LMAFO brings back memories."
I can't help it if Omar's going to keep being wrong, damn it. Come on, Omar, come on.
Oh man.
Doug, stop playing Tetris.
I know. I saw that one. That one made me laugh. Hey, man, when they go and it's entertaining, I'm going to let them go. I'm not going to stop it. I'm that ref that's just standing there like, hey.
It's all love, baby. It's all love.
There's no low blows. I'm going to let them keep fighting it out.
I literally in the press room did the math just for Allen, discounted the 3rd round pick, made it a 4th round pick, still did the calculations. They walked away with 44.6 points victory. That's the equivalent of a mid-round 4th round pick. So you picked up a 3rd round pick and the value of a mid-round 4th round pick, and Allen's still saying it's a loss.
And the odds are they're going to use the pick to move up in the 2nd again next year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
With a different GM, hopefully.
What'd you say? Whoa.
I said I'll let the next GM
no.
That out.
Doug throwing a very subtle shot in there that I don't know if you guys picked up.
No, I didn't say nothing.
Hold on, wait a minute. What did he say, Pavard? I missed it too.
I think it was something along the lines like, hopefully.
With a different GM, hopefully.
Wow.
Hey, listen, I like my GM. Chris Greer did his thing.
It's 9 years. 9 years.
10. This is his 10th draft.
Flores sabotaged him.
And by the way, TD, do you think this is going to be a better draft than Laramie Tunsil, Xavier Howard, Jakeem Grant in round 6?
Yep.
Kendall Drake.
Yep. You know why? Why? Because we wasted all their careers.
That doesn't mean that it wasn't a good draft.
It don't matter. This is the one that's going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that other draft fizzled out after a while. But Laramie Tunsil, Xavier Howard, 2 Pro Bowlers, Kenyon Drake, you saw he got a good second contract. Leonte Carew sucked. And Jakeem Grant, he sucked, but we want to pretend like he was good.
Greatest returner in team history, Omar. Come on, give me 2. Greatest kick returner in team history as a 6th round pick.
Jakeem Grant.
Yeah.
Too bad he was a receiver that couldn't catch the ball.
Michael at the Tenor says, y'all should have started this show years ago with this cast. Got me looking forward to Tuesdays. Now, we appreciate that. And we appreciate the donation. Hit the thumbs up. We got, 406 people in here. We only got 100 likes.
Yeah, if you're watching, hit the like We definitely tell a friend. We're seeing where this goes. If we can build it, if my bosses will allow me to continue to do it. So
Taking it one day at a time. One
Tuesday at a time.
I
Exactly.
have
We
Tua
build it,
put the
you will
call
come.
in, Omar. You good?
Huh?
I'll have Tua put the call in. You good?
TD has Tua's personal number. That's why he's so on top of him.
Yeah, man. Got seasick on the yacht this weekend.
So looking at this draft, we talked about going into the draft what the team needs are. Looking at the draft now, what are your thoughts what the team needs? Now, I still think they need 2 starting corners. I still think they need 1 more safety. I like Ashton Davis, but I don't think he's considered a starter. Ifanu, if he could stay healthy, I think he's a starter.
Why don't you think Ashton Davis is a starter?
I think he's that third safety, that thumper that can play down at the line. I don't trust him in coverage.
I always watched the Jets, and I was like, why is this guy not starting more? Why did he? And I even asked him that question. Why did he never get an opportunity? And you know how regime changes happen, and it's not my guy. I didn't draft this guy. Listen, and maybe it becomes an Elijah Campbell situation where guys so valuable on special teams. He's a 4-core special teams player. If we take him off special teams, it's going to water down what he can do for us. If we take him off special teams, make him a starter, it's going to water down our special teams unit, like what you saw with Duke Riley when he became a starter. I like Ashton Davis, and then the other one, the safety,
Melifonwu.
Yeah.
He just got
Dan Campbell has a very high opinion of him. He's like a praying mantis, what he looks like physically.
That was a great call, by the way, Omar. When you put that was funny.
Yeah, he is just long arms and it runs fast.
Remember, he can play corner too.
Yeah, Detroit liked him as a nickel cornerback. So at worst case, he could be your nickel. So
Cater's your nickel. Cater's your nickel. Cater's got to be your nickel.
Cater might have to be your outside. Cool is better outside than Cater right now.
And I'm still queasy about the defensive line.
Why?
No depth.
Because I like the rotation of Jordan Phillips and Kenneth Grant. You got Sealer in there. I just need 1 more. Give me 1 more D end. Give me another.
Hold on. Kenneth Grant. Benito Jones. Don't forget about him. Jordan Phillips, Zach Sealer. Now, do you need another Zach Sealer? You probably do. And then I look at it from the edge guys. I see a third down package where there's Zach Sealer on the inside, and then you've got Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Chop roaming around as an elephant.
Can you see them going out and grabbing? Like Ngakwe is still out there, and you have like Judon and stuff, and Zadarius Smith. Throw one of them in there. Have that nice rotation.
I don't think they need an edge because I don't think they need. Maybe they will. I don't know what they can grab. I heard Raekwon was coming back, but Raekwon's battling some injuries right now. So even if you add Raekwon, I think they're good at defensive line, and I don't want to add anybody who's going to be a progress stopper.
Gotcha.
This team is going young. This team is really going young.
Rebuild.
No reset, no rebuild.
That's what they're doing.
Lie.
Chris
Sanchez with a 5 says, Alan gonna say it's a loss till the Finns win a playoff game.
What the hell does that mean? What does that mean?
But I think we all could agree with that.
None of it matters until we win a playoff game.
Got a big one from Glenn. $50.
Holy crap, Glenn.
He said, enjoyed the show. Keep it up. Did not like missing out on a 3rd and a 4th rounder, but got 2 starters, and that's all you can hope for in this draft. Yeah. Omar was saying that last week before we went to the draft. If they can come out with some, 2 starters, it's pretty good.
I wanted 3 starters, but if you got 2, that's fine. The one thing I do want to say about the cornerback unit, since we're talking about the roster, and I've done let me promote some Miami Herald content. I know Poupard is going to do his content as well. I've done an offense and defensive depth chart, and when you look at the cornerback depth chart on this team, and I'm not even counting the new kid Marshall. Isaiah Johnson was my favorite of the rookie cornerbacks last year. He spent all year developing on your practice squad. Jason Maitre showed you a little something in nickel. He didn't make the practice squad, but they eventually brought him back, which showed you that they liked what they saw. He just wasn't ready yet. Then you got, Cam Smith. Maybe he grows up, maybe he doesn't. We addressed that in a previous show. I didn't like the way that I respected it, but I didn't like the way Chris Greer's tone was about him, which was like, we ain't holding your hand, we ain't waiting on you no more. Yeah. And then Storm Duck, we saw what he did. Now, let's hope that all of those guys got better from and then Ethan Bonner. Let's hope all of those guys got better from where they were last year. Let's just say we don't have to, let's do a Madden rating. If they were a 74, all of them at least are a 79 now because of their playing experience.
That's still not good enough.
It's pretty gracious.
And you forgot, Omar, you forgot Artie Burns and you forgot Ryan Cooper Jr.
Sure. I like Artie Burns. I liked Artie Burns when he was at UM and in the draft process, but what can I really expect from him right now?
No, and
I don't know Ryan Cooper because I never saw him. I could talk about Isaiah Johnson because I saw him. I liked him. He's long, he's athletic, he's got speed. If you told me right now, Isaiah Johnson, if I could put money on a guy, if I could go to Vegas and put money on a guy being the day one starter for training camp, and I could look at the odds, I know Isaiah Johnson would have some ridiculous odds, and I put money on it.
No, I liked him too last summer too, and I love Maitre. I really like Maitre as well.
You did like Maitre.
Yeah, and as I chronicled on Miami Dolphins on SI.com in my own position by position breakdown on offense and defense.
Mine was better though.
Was there ever any doubt of that, Omar? No, it's a problematic position. I'm sorry, and I in a pinch, absolutely, they can move Cater outside. I think we can all agree Cater is much better as the slot guy.
Yeah.
That's not ideal, and you could have two. And I like the Dolphins not forcing Jahdae Barron, and because the more I thought about him, and I know on here, and Omar, you accused me of having no conviction because I went along with the pick. In the days before the draft, it was like, there's a concern that maybe he's not cut out to be an outside corner in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And do they really need another slot corner?
He fell 20-something? He went
20th to Denver Broncos.
Will Johnson slid too.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
That's a knee, though. We never know the medical.
This also is going to talk another talking point we'll get to because I still have to see your guys' needs after the draft. Noel B with the tenor says, had this draft rated C-, but change it to a C+ for not picking Shedeur and Dion. Can't go casting shade in the Tyreek Hill spotlight. He might become unstable. Oh, that's not wrong there. Gary with the fiver says, if the trenches are solidified and we have our quarterback of the future, wouldn't the draft be a success?
Because the 7th round pick's not your quarterback of the future. Sorry.
Stop that. You don't
hold on. TD, hold on. 2024 playoffs in the NFL. 14 teams. The starting quarterbacks. Omar, you can roll your eyes all you want. By all means, go for it. You're not going to change the facts that of the 14 starting quarterbacks, 12 were first-round picks. 1 was a second-round pick. That was Jalen Hurts. And 1 was a third-round pick. That was Russell Wilson. Everybody else was a first-round pick.
And you know who screwed up your metrics? Because your metrics should be about the last 3 years because Brock Purdy, a 7th-round pick.
He's an outlier.
NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. But it happened.
It does happen.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
See, Alan, you said 12 teams had a first-round quarterback this previous year.
14 teams in the playoffs.
But my problem is one of those 12 wasn't mine.
That's great. What's that got to do with anything? And he was a first-round pick.
My first-round pick didn't matter anyway. My guy in the first round. So at the end of the day, it's no different from a 7th rounder.
I have no idea what that means, but okay.
What it means is 2 is a first-round pick. You would like for him to have been in the playoffs last year, but he's not there because he keeps getting hurt.
Up all his good points earlier in the show when we were
hey, listen, y'all run away.
He's like
no, Omar, y'all run away from that Tua conversation every week, and I'm gonna leave it alone. But hopefully, Doug got on the docket while we pass on Shedeur in the 5th round.
I'm
just saying.
Well, let me real
he's
quick.
on the docket? Is it on the docket, Doug?
Probably not.
Well, real quick. Let's get Alan and TD's thoughts on team needs after the draft. What are your thoughts on the team needs after? Is there, besides obviously corner?
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything else?
TD's going to say anything other than quarterback?
No. In all seriousness,
quarterback.
it's the same as you. It's the same as you guys. It's not just corner. It's the whole secondary for me.
Okay.
I just don't like. I don't like y'all can sit here and throw out all these names we got in the secondary. We ain't got a top 20 secondary.
Nope.
I mean, these guys. I mean, we're the only thing we can say is hope. Hope this guy got better. Hope that guy. Like there ain't one guy say we got one on. We got one. We got one. There's not one.
We got a possible. We got Cater. Cater's
a possible. Like, but we playing spades though, Omar. We can't go on possibles. At least give me two in the we got a possible. Like, come on, man. This the secondary is.
I'm throwing in the hand.
Is a mess.
If it was a spade game, I'm throwing in the hand.
But I know Chris Greer is gonna go probably do two veterans on the boundaries. I think that's what he's shopping for right now.
And a safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I hope he digs. Yeah. I hope he was joking about the safeties being our starters already on the roster. I hope he was.
Yeah. No. I'm serious about that. But who is to say? Who is the veteran that's going to lead those units and instruct those units and teach those guys how to study film and hold that unit accountable? Tell me the veteran in that room
right now?
Yeah.
There ain't
nobody.
Cater Cole.
Nightwolf with
Elijah Campbell might have the most experience of any DB roster right now.
Honest question: how do you feel about the linebacking core? Who are the best linebackers right now? When was the last time we drafted a stud linebacker? Crowder, Baker. I think. Yeah. I don't even. Would you say Baker was a stud?
Yeah, I think Baker was a multi-year starter.
Stud's a strong word.
Yeah.
Baker had years where he led the team in sacks. Come on, don't be disrespectful.
He was solid, Omar.
Would you ever use the term stud for Jerome Baker? Come on, Omar.
I think he's solid.
Okay, thank you.
Solid.
I like our linebacking core. Terrell Dotson, Jordan Brooks, KJ Britt, Willie Gay. I like it. I would now. Obviously, I kept talking about on my channel everything that give me Jahad Campbell if he fell to the second, which of course the Eagles took him. Yeah. Of all the teams to take Jahad Campbell,
of course
it was the Eagles. But
I'm sorry, if it's a Alabama or Georgia player sitting there for them, they're gonna take him. You know that the NFL knows that. Like, don't act surprised. Surprise.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about it. Shedeur Sanders, that man fell. Holy crap. Everyone was like, oh, is it going to be? I remember when the NFL season ended, it was who's going one? Cam or Shedeur. And then Shedeur's top 10. And then Shedeur's going to go to the Steelers at 21. He fell to the 5th round. Now, I heard a rumor, and you can say if this is wrong or not, because, again, it's a rumor. I heard that if he was there for the Dolphins' 3rd pick, they would have took him.
In the 3rd pick in the 5th round?
3rd and the 5th.
The fact you had they admitted they had a long, lengthy discussion about Shedeur in the 5th and then took Jordan Phillips, which says to me Shedeur Sanders wasn't our top 120th rated player on our board.
I heard a lot of people just took him off.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.
But
they took him off for another reason.
If he wasn't on the board.
No. I think they had a conversation. I know he was on everybody's board, then taken off a lot because of.
I think he might have started off people's board.
Yeah, he was on people's board to start out through the process, but then when interviews and things like that took place, some people start snatching them off. They came out today that one general manager. Well, one person leaked the fact that they gave him, his bad plays. And unlike Cam Ward, who said, hey, this is what I did wrong. This is what I learned. Shedeur just straight up said, oh, well, maybe this isn't the team for me.
Wow.
Or he was blaming somebody else on the film.
So a lot of people took him off the board, but when he came to the 5th, I think he started going back on people's board because nobody thought everybody was going to keep passing on him like that. And then teams started to consider it, knowing that, well, we don't have him. Not all teams, but I know quite a few teams probably at that point start saying, hey, now, I mean, at some point. You just can't
they now have 5 quarterbacks.
And I think that's what the Dolphins did. We didn't have plans, but at some point, man, are we missing out here? And I think somebody in the room, and I want to know who it is, said, hey, we were convicted about Ewers late. Let's stick to that. I think that's what ended up happening.
They had dinner with him.
I mean, you didn't take Shedeur, so it had to be.
You're right.
But the issue here is that once he slides into the 5th round, at that point, it's like it's good value because if you have a quarterback
for everybody,
it's correct. But then, okay, is the value worth the headaches that you're probably bringing into your organization? And it's not like the Dolphins don't already have enough headaches as it is.
Well, I got. This is where it's frustrating for me with this whole situation. What headache? It's all buzz. Well, I mean,
man, seriously,
is that fair to the kid though?
It's not, but dude, it's like it's always everything is all about him. It's like you actually, and somebody made the point. I don't know, it may have been Perk actually. He was talking about like Tua has a bad practice or a bad game, and you don't think that reporters are going to Dion and he starts bitching about it?
Mm-hmm.
You really want that?
Here's my biggest concern. One, I said probably the week we did the episode, there's no way we should take Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
If Shedeur, let's just say they picked Shedeur over Jordan Phillips. The story isn't about the draft picks, including Kenneth Graham. The story is Shedeur. The story is Shedeur. They did not want that circus at all. And to me, I'm all for it if the juice is worth the squeeze. I did not think the juice was worth the squeeze with Shedeur. I said to you guys consistently and everybody in the draft process, when people were talking about Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I'm like, that's not even a conversation. When people are talking about, oh, Shedeur's going to be a top 5 pick, I'm like, no, he's not. He's going to be there for when the Dolphins pick, and he'll probably be there until Pittsburgh picks. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be his home. Then Pittsburgh said, nah, we good. Then Pittsburgh passed on him in the 3rd. Nah, we good. Then Pittsburgh passed on him in the 4th. Nah, we good. And then they selected another quarterback. Like, I thought Dallas with Dion's homeboy, Jerry Jones, and Jerry is not afraid of a circus. Jerry is not afraid of quarterback competition. Jerry and Dion is tight.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take my boy. And Jerry was like, nah, I'm good.
I would love to hear that phone call.
And then all the stuff that people put out, because I saw, like, when I saw his bling on his draft party, what he was wearing, his $1 million in ice, I immediately knew he wasn't going in the 1st round. You can do that at any other position. You cannot do that at quarterback. You cannot do that at quarterback.
And he had his own
not even a possibility.
He had his own like YouTube film crew or something following him around.
His whole life has been
but it's always
reality series. There's word that he's taping a reality series right now. Do you think a team wants that from their quarterback?
Hell no.
And Omar,
go ahead.
So you made a very good point. It's not like it's too much to put up with for the caliber of quarterback. If he was a complete stud with no question marks about his game, you're like, it's a headache, but you know what? It's too good to pass up. And he's not the first quarterback who's been in this situation. Like, for example, I'm going to bring back somebody from a while back. If Colin Kaepernick was a very good quarterback, he wasn't quite good enough for teams to deal with the distraction that was going to come along with him. And that's the issue. And that's part of another one. It would be Tim Tebow. Why his career fizzled out fast, because he wasn't nearly a good enough quarterback to deal with all of the distractions that come with him. And
so you're saying like
Tebow won a playoff game.
When he came into the draft, if he had this type of ordeal around him, they would be like, well, we got to take him. It's Andrew Luck. Like, he's just that good of a quarterback that you can.
Yeah, but here's the reality. I've said this a million times, and many may disagree. I think this had nothing to do but a cultural disconnect. I think he's embodying the newer age culture of this is like in reality with social media and everything. He's living it to its fullest. And that comes with a lot of attention. His confidence on top of that, it's like a multitude of things compounding on top of each other. People make the argument, well, Baker Mayfield and this person was just as cocky. Yeah, but here's the thing with Shedeur. Here's what's his problem. You can point to somebody in NFL history that got drafted early that has shared every attribute he's had, but it was just that one. But he has all of them, and it's compounding. And then you don't do yourself any favors in the interview. I am telling you now, if he would have and again, I don't like people say he should have prepared better for the interview. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he did prepare for the interview. He was being himself, but that comes across in a the NFL is corporate America. If we're going for an interview and we're going into a job, you got to treat it as such, like you need that job.
But you know,
correct. You can't walk. Sorry,
I don't think Travis Hunter handled himself any differently than Deion Sanders than Shedeur Sanders did. I just think the talent is different.
Travis Hunter was it doesn't come across like that.
No.
Travis Hunter ain't out here blinging and doing all of that. Travis Hunter is a little bit more buttoned up, and then you even listen to Travis Hunter's interview even after being drafted. The responses are clear, concise, precise, and about the team and about winning. Shedeur's more so like to hear literally, well, maybe this ain't the team for me. Like, come on, man. Like, this is corporate America at the end of the day.
Do you guys think that it could be, now this is an extreme, but a Jamarcus Russell type situation? Because when you look at when him and Cam were working out together and he was talking about, oh, let's do a rap song. And Cam's like, I'm worried about football, man. Like, I don't care about that. Whereas it seemed like Jamarcus Russell was more about the money and not necessarily about football and training and all that stuff.
Never been about the money. He's always had money.
Eating. It was about eating.
Okay.
Well, that's the piece that I disagree with everybody. Shedeur loves football. His whole life has been football. This notion that he doesn't love football and he's about everything else in the game, it really don't matter to him. I totally disagree. The kid was born and raised around it as he lived it. It's just, the things that he likes to partake in within his culture and how he likes to express that openly. I think it just doesn't fit with a lot of organizations.
Is it culture or is it the fact that there's 0 degree of humility in the dude? And it's like, you know what? You're interviewing me. No, I'm interviewing you. I'm gonna do you a favor and let you talk to me. It's like
I was gonna say, yeah.
Over the top, like.
TD, do you think it has to do a lot with his last name and who his father is, and how maybe some things were given to him because his dad is Deion Sanders?
Not in this situation. I think what was given to him, though, the culture of Deion Sanders. Remember, when I say culture, I want to be clear here. Culture has nothing to do with race. If you really look at the definition of it, it's a group of people that partake in certain behaviors and mannerisms based off of their immediate community. So Deion instilled that in him, that ultimate confidence. That is a culture in itself. We don't back down from nothing. We're so confident. We're going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to look you in your eyes and say, I'm going to take your cookie and then go take it and you're not going to do nothing. That's how he raised him. And Shedeur, he always talk about he's always been steady like that. Nothing shakes him. He's going to talk his talk. That's how he's going to live his life. It's a part of his confidence. It's what you can't break if you want to get the best of him, but it's not received well.
I think Alan hit the nail on the head because when Deion did it, it's because Deion Sanders was good coming out of college. Whereas you have Shedeur doing it. He's nowhere near Deion Sanders, when it comes to talent versus talk. Shedeur, it's talent versus talk. It's like it doesn't match up.
I think that this was a message being sent to this NIL culture of athletes.
That too, yeah.
To this streaming and twitching
compounding
culture of athletes, to this I'm gonna do a reality series and date an Instagram model culture of athletes. The NFL has always been about the shield, bigger than anything else. And especially with their quarterbacks, you will be the face of the franchise. There's a higher standard put to you, especially for quarterbacks. And Shedeur violated so many of their institutional codes and beliefs. And you saw this wasn't a one-team issue. This was a 32-team issue.
It's not about you. The game is bigger than you.
Yes.
Well, the Shield doesn't need anybody.
Correct.
I think people realize that, but this was one of those situations that the NFL is going to be dealing with going forward, where these guys also don't need the Shield. I mean, the man got at least $10 million in his bank account just from college.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then don't play in the NFL.
Well, but he loves the game.
Run out of player.
I get it. I get it.
There's not. Good luck finding the first player who's going to turn down the opportunity to play in the NFL because he's getting a little bit humbled. I have a hard time seeing that,
No, I agree. I'm just saying that's the circumstance now. These kids are getting – look, our quarterback, didn't Ewers just pass up $4 to $8 million?
Yep, he would have made more money going to UM.
And I was about to say that they were saying that in the draft, and that's why the NIL is becoming something, is they were saying, why doesn't Shedeur just go back and play, one more year?
He's out of eligibility.
What happened?
He still had eligibility?
Yeah, I think he had one more year.
Okay.
Did he play his freshman year?
Yeah, because he didn't sign with an agent.
Yeah.
He didn't sign with an agent, correct. That's why they were saying he could have gone back, actually.
Just not to Colorado. All right, we got donations.
Not to Colorado. Why not to Colorado?
They were saying something about that he would have to go to a different school or something.
Yeah, there's because he's played 4 years now, and then the last two. I don't know how that works personally, but
I don't know, man. But
Sanchez with a tenor says, "Who's replacing Tyreek Hill and Ramsey? Impact options only with realistic options."
I mean,
Tyreek is replacing Tyreek.
Not this year, but that's what Jalen Waddle's for. Jalen Waddle.
They'll figure that out next year. Don't worry about next year's problems this year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ramsey, we talked about that. Somebody.
Rasul Douglas would be the name I'd keep an eye on.
Isaiah Johnson.
Photo trips with the tenor says, with the beefing of the D-line, do you guys think that will help our lack of heat-seeking missiles at the linebacker position? I miss having guys like Orlando Roberts to take people's heads off. I think especially the big guys up front with Grant and with Phillips, I think they're going to open up some lanes too. And I think it's going to help the pass rushers on the outside.
Definitely.
Because you can't single out Grant because he's a big man.
I do worry about Jordan Brooks and Dodson working together because both of them are weak side linebackers. There is no true inside linebacker. So the instincts, I think Jordan Brooks is probably the one that's going to have his role shifted. And I'm not going to be able to say he can't do it because I've never seen him do it, but he's going to be the green dot player and he's going to have to be vocal and he's going to have to step up and we'll see. I mean, he's been Miami's best linebacker since probably Carlos Dansby. So who knows what he could do.
You think Willie Gay is going to be the leader in that linebacker room?
No. Jordan Brooks is the leader in that linebacker room. Right, Poop? Yes?
Without question.
Might be the leader on the entire defense.
Now,
Sanchez with the 5 says, you're not recruiting Shedeur Sanders, you're replacing him, the only coach he's ever had.
Yes. That's another thing that I did hear from an NFL official. He's never won a quarterback battle. He's never had to compete for a quarterback battle.
That's what I'm saying. His father was just like the name.
I saw Bomani Jones on Bomani's right or in his podcast. He said something that I thought was very profound. Him and Joy Taylor said two things that I thought were very profound during the process. One, regarding to Joy, she's like, NFL teams, you all are guessing on quarterbacks. Nobody gets it right. Like you're all just making it up. Like all of us could be in this job and in this role because all of you are just guessing. And that is true. And then Bomani said something. He's like, Shedeur misplayed his hand because Dion gave him and both of their sons wrong advice. They should have got an agent. Shiloh actually got an agent on day 2 because he's like, if they're doing this to Shedeur, I'm finna get done. and he's like, I need an agent, and I believe he signed with Drew. And
of course,
and that's what people don't understand. Agents like Drew, even though Drew didn't, I thought Drew was going to help rescue Xavier Restrepo. Unfortunately, he didn't.
Yeah. was crazy.
But like
Short and slow is a
Xavier,
bad combination.
huh?
Short and slow is a bad combination for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, stop, man. Restrepo is an NFL.
I watched him work out and watched him run, and I know he ran a time in the 4.56 4.
Mhm.
You know, it was a sub 4.6. Yeah, I got it on video, man. And you could believe the hamstring injury.
Hmm.
And then I heard also that he changed trainers and went to. I'm not even gonna get into that because then them trainers gonna be on my behind, and I don't want that smoke from that person. And then they're gonna say, oh well, they changed forms at the last minute and did this and then and he switched what I was working on. If he would have stayed with me, it would have been better. I don't want to hear none of that. But the bottom line is he shouldn't have run. He should not have run. And that's why when you're a third day guy, you run at the combine, and then if you run slow at the combine, you run at your pro day.
Mm.
Omar, I saw probably as many games as you saw last year, and to me, I saw Restrepo killing it at UM, and it's like what popped in my head is great college player, good luck in the NFL.
Come on, man, them hands. Come on, he can be in tight coverage and snatch the football.
You still have to get open and not get jammed at the line of scrimmage, partner.
Didn't Jarvis Landry run a slow 40?
Jarvis Landry's a lot bigger than
and a lot.
You don't
like Restrepo's route running?
I love his route running.
Yeah, again, but he's slow and he's slow and he's short.
He's a slot receiver. They run option routes.
Yeah, man.
I would want him on my team. Unfortunately, I don't want him on the Dolphins because they got a roster full of slot receivers.
And then they added 4 more receivers in undrafted free agency. Glenn with the tenor hit the nail on the head. His biggest problem was his father was his agent. When the college season ended, he should have separated and his father and got an agent. Yes, sir. A 20 from the Foe family said,
they celebrities. You know that, right?
What happened?
You don't know who this is?
No.
These celebrities, man. Y'all better go check them out on TikTok.
Zach Wilson will win us the first playoff game.
You got TikTok, CD?
Big time. Oh, I'm smart.
I'm not allowed to get TikTok.
The same thing as tic-tac-toe? Sorry.
I should take you off the panel for that one.
he just pulled a Belichick. That's all he did.
Anthony Coleman with the 5 says, you better preach, Omar. You got love over there, Omar.
I don't know what
did you guys see that Belichick interview
I did see it. I did see it.
Interview on CBS. Oh my Lord, what a trainer!
I want to know what people are insinuating about the woman. I don't get it, but people are insinuating about the girlfriend that she might have been a what?
What? No, you say it. I'm not saying it.
2 in the
no, huh?
An agent?
I like people are like, and they're like, why won't anybody tell me what she might have been?
We're not talking about that.
Huh?
That's what she kept saying. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet? We're not talking about that. Why we gotta talk about that? She's over behind the desk. That was shady.
Yeah.
Man, let Bill live his life, man.
He's sitting there with the holes in his
Hey, listen. How that man choose to live his life? If you want to love his old wrinkled behind, like, and you want to take care of you, and you want to be his sugar baby, let it be. Like, who cares?
To each their own, man.
I'm looking for a roster of sugar babies. So like, I just ain't got no money for them.
Last thing, overall, just real quick, what you thought of the draft? I think it was solid. I gave it a B+. We got some starters. I'm happy. Omar,
I gave it a B-. I love conviction. Have your conviction. And they had conviction about the quarterback, the running back, the cornerback, and the safety that they wanted late. They didn't believe that all those guys were more than 5th-round talent, so they got a bunch of 5th-round talents, 5th-round picks, and they used their early picks to go get what they wanted and get a high pick for their future GM.
Alan?
Well, I'm going to preface by saying I don't give out grades because talk to me in 3 years, I'll give you a grade.
Yeah, it's too soon. But
I want your grade right now for the 2000 and
I'll give it to you. 2022. That's a That's Channing Tindall, Eric Ezukama, Cameron Good, and Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
If you don't factor in the trade for Tyreek and all that, that's a D minus.
Why not an F? I don't see a player on that draft.
Oh, check this out. Check this out, because I do it every year. I go back 3 years and I grade it. The Miami Dolphins could have had 13 draft picks in that year. They ended up with four, and one of them, a round 3, 81 overall pick, was traded to the Giants for Liam Eichenberg.
Oh yeah, correct. The previous year, yes. Yeah.
Hey, don't give up on Eichenberg. This might
D-
be
I gave that one in 2022.
I want to go through that 2022 draft, and I want to look at who I would have picked at each of those selections.
So 15, they traded that pick to get Waddle. 29, they traded that for Hill. 50, they traded that for Hill. 81, they traded that for Liam. 121, they traded it for Hill. 158, that was the trade with Devontae Parker. And 196, they traded that for Greg Maines.
Was the Tyreek Hill trade worth it at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's Greg Maines? I know like everybody.
He's the offensive lineman they traded like at the end
Baltimore.
From Baltimore. Then you also get 238 that you traded to the Rams for taking Talib Kweli.
You got a fifth for that.
Then you traded one to Carolina for Greg Little. Yeah, man. I'm going to go through that draft and look at what was available in those rounds and see what I could have done. See what I would have done.
It was hot doo-doo.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, that's an F. That's an F, Bart.
Okay, I'm going to be an F+. How's that?
TD, what is your take on this?
Doug, I haven't answered the question. My thing is, again, I didn't like it from the standpoint of, to me, this draft was about getting volume to build up the core. And I hated giving up, going from 4 picks, rounds 2, 3, and 4, to 1 pick. And Jonah S., not his fault, but Dolphins put the bullseye on you.
TD?
Better than being on Liam Eichenberg.
Mine was an A- because for me, it was never about the volume. Volume meant we were trying to compete this year. I feel like they got picks that would help this team be in a good position for the future. A- for me. And last thing I'll say is I wanted Jonah. Every mock I did, I said, we got to figure out a way to get Jonah, but I could never mock him at 48. That's why I was trading down at 13 to pick up a early second round pick to get Jonah in all my mocks. So as soon as we got Kenneth Grant, I said, we're not going to be able to get Jonah. But they traded up and got him.
Do you have no idea how many times watching the Dolphins draft I've wanted a player and then
it's never worked out for me?
Exactly. They've either traded up or done something, and then I'm like, oh, and then they've taken like somebody. And I'm
didn't even know their name. This is the first year it's been what I mocked.
Yeah, this is the first. I put the clip up. This is the first time ever that they traded up, and I'm like, Jonas Avena, and then they got him, and I didn't know what to do with myself. It was the first time I was like, they actually got a guy I really like, and watch, he's gonna suck.
No, he's not. He's not. He's gonna be good, man.
But that's what we got for you guys today. We got 628 of you beautiful human beings in here. Hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. We appreciate the crap out of you.
Yeah, man.
Ton of donations, ton of chats. We're going to start incorporating your questions. We got big things for this panel. So we will see you guys next week. Omar, Miami Herald, go check him out. Alan Poupart, Sports Illustrated, SI, Dolphins podcast, right? I got that right?
No. Miami Dolphins on SI.com. All Dolphins podcast.
Free.
You got TD Fins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphins. You also can find them on the AFC East.
Home of the haters.
Hey, stop calling the police on me, Omar. Omar was hating on my fit. He was hating on my fit. He know I was dripping.
You can find me at Douglas Durong and also over there on Dolphins Talk. But we will see you guys next week. Gonna talk some off-season stuff. We'll find things to talk about, or we'll just yell at each other for an hour. I think that'd be fun to do.
Yeah, man. All right.
See you guys later.